This presentation has its origins in two previous research. The first one was carried out with my fellow from University of Granada, Juan Carlos Fernandez Molina, when in 2002 we have presented at ISCO conference in Granada a study about the presence of knowledge, organization, and representation values in codes of ethics for librarians. And based on this study and enlarging it in order to verify that situation in the library and information science literature, in the ISCO conference in Montreal 2008, Juan Carlos, I, and two other fellows of Brazil, we made a proposal of an extension of the classification scheme for knowledge organization, specifically related to ethics in KOR, inside the class 92. And in this opportunity, we tried to reproduce the experiences with Code of Ethics for Librarians, but in the field of archival science, in order to verify what's the presence of ethical questions in archival knowledge organization in those Code of Ethics. The archival knowledge can be regarded as all the knowledge that's contained in the records produced or accumulated by a particular person or entity and group together. The conception of archival knowledge organization as a mediator between the knowledge that's produced by society and its use to create new knowledge is supported by the establishment of organic information as an object of archival science. Archival knowledge organization has its nuclear activities in arrangement and description, as it can be seen in a large international literature. Arrangement is a matricial activity that mainly precedes the activities of evaluation and description, a fundamental task, a special moment in the organization process, the first step to facilitate access to information. However, the activities related to arrangement can only fully achieve their goals by archival description. This description performs the function of providing information about the content and the context of documents and its formal elements, with the main goal of providing access to the information in the fonts, groups, and series, and documentary items. These two procedures are related not only to the contents that are inherent to them, but also to the professional practice, values and attitudes in the professional action, and its consequence for the users, what reveals an ethical dimension. In this vein, we wonder whether archival professionals are concerned with the why and the what for of the arrangement and description activities. We also aim to analyze which ethical values are considered by the deontological codes for archivists in an international context regarding the search for a correct and appropriate professional conduct. In terms of methodology, we have analyzed 16 archival codes of ethics available on the network of concerned historians' website for the following countries. These countries were chosen because of their tradition in archival science and because they represent three continents, Americas, Europe, and Oceania. The corpus was selected by the incidence of the terms archival classment, arrangement, and description, and their correspondence in Spanish, French, and Portuguese. We conduct a content analysis based on Bardin. On the textual analysis, and the results were compared to the categories we have proposed in ISCO Montreal 2008 regarding the values and ethical problems in knowledge organization and representation activities. Those were the codes we have analyzed. And the results were: of the 16 documents, 5 of them, what means 31%, do not have any term related to the arrangement and the description. Brazil, Canada, United States, New Zealand, and Portugal. However, 6 of them, 37% of the documents, present two terms. The term arrangement alone occurs in 4 codes of ethics, and the term description in only 1 document in the Code of Catalonia in Spain. Here we presented the values which could be found in those codes of ethics related to description and arrangement, the mentions of ethical values they did. Based on those values, we organize that rank. You can note that the first one is information access. It's interesting because in the text of 2008, we point out that in fact information access or access to information cannot be considered a value, an ethical value in itself, but more a meta value because it's over all the other values. And this situation confirmed this concern. Respect for provenance and respect for original order, it's interesting because besides being typical archival organizational principles, they contain an axiological dimension. They represent a kind of a ethical commitment of the professional. Physical preservation of the record, conservation, respect for the preservation of the archive value of the record, reliability, custody, information security, impartiality, authenticity, confidentiality, and access and use. We try to control in a certain way those values, but some of them need a more specific definition because can sound naive. For instance, impartiality. No, it demands a deeper definition. Based on a comparative analysis of the values involved in arrangement and description, we observe that the value attached to access to information presents the highest overall frequency, 55%. Following this, there is the respect for provenance and original order, both of them with the same incidence, 45%, confirming the essentiality of these principles as a basis for archival knowledge organization. Next, we observe the values relate to physical preservation of the record and conservation, reflecting the professional ethical commitment with the maintenance and integrity of the funds in the organization process. It's also important to highlight that the incidence of respect for the preservation of the archival value of the record reaffirms what Schellenberg in 2006 defines as a double value of the archival records, the administrative value and the historical value. Well, in terms of the results, in our research from 2008, we identified a group of 23 articles whose contents were related to the ethical questions in knowledge organization representation. And we have grouped them, the values, in 3 spheres. First sphere, superior values which must guide all the information activity. Second sphere, a narrower one, values previously recognized as professional requirements because they are essential to the action of an information professional. And another one's values previously considered as mere information retrieval measures, but recognized today as a part of the axiological universe of the knowledge organization and representation. We'll note that in relation to the code of ethics, the archival code of ethics, we could only find the 2 main categories. We could not find the third category, values previously considered as mere information retrieval measures. And the reason for that is that the question, the theme of information retrieval is not as discussed in archival science as it occurs in library information science. And so questions like relevance, recall, are not discussed in archival science with such a big frequency as it is in library information science. Impartiality, confidentiality. In conclusion, the ethical issue is strongly perceived in relation to the professional practice regarding the archival arrangement and description. This reveals that the Professional Association of Archivists assume the ethical issues as inherent of the whole process of organization and representation of information. The concluded values confirm the results previously obtained by Guimarães et al. In 2008 regarding the librarian practice, access to information, reliability, information security, and easiness of use, and also includes new specific values related to archival practice, such as respect for provenance, respect for the original order, physical preservation of the record, conservation, respect for preservation of the archival value of the record and custody. And those aspects show, in a certain way, a maturation in the archival professional legislations, since such deontological dimensions seems to be strongly grounded on a solid axiological substrate of the area. And one of the conclusions one of the reasons we can observe for this situation is that the archival profession is much more attached to legal question. The archivist is much more concerned on legal questions, so it's in a certain way natural that those values would arise in the research. We intend to go on in this research in order to compare how those values occur in the archival literature, doing the same way, the same route we did in the library and information science literature. That's all. Thank you.